Good morning and welcome. My name is Kelly Bennett. I'm the Birmingham Bloomfield Chamber's Marketing and Events Manager. Thank you all for joining us for our annual breakfast with the superintendents. I'm honored to be here to represent our board of directors, our staff, and our ambassadors at this morning's event. Our chamber is dedicated to improving the quality of life in the communities we work and live in, and we firmly believe that public schools and a strong education system is the cornerstone of a thriving community. We are excited to have our school leaders with us today as they prepare for the upcoming school year. Following their presentations, we will conduct a question and answer session. Please write down your questions on the blue note cards at their table, and our chamber staff will collect them. We'd like to express our sincere gratitude to our sponsors for today's program, Michigan United Credit Union and Oakland Community College. Without their support, we would not be able to put on this program for you. Once again, thank you for joining us for this important conversation. We hope you enjoy the presentations and gain valuable insights from our esteemed school leaders. And now I'd like to introduce Linda Hatfield, Vice President of Business Development for Michigan United Credit Union, and she will introduce our first speaker.
As Kelly said, my name is Linda Hatfield, and I'm with Michigan United Credit Union, and we are a proud legacy sponsor of the Birmingham Bloomfield Chamber. We are always thrilled to sponsor this particular event, and that is particularly because our roots started back in 1931, and no, I did not start at the credit union then, which it seems like it, but we started as Birmingham Teachers Credit Union. So we're always thrilled to be here for this particular event. Over the years, we expanded our field of membership to include the state of Michigan, and we just acquired several other credit unions. We have 8 locations now. So, it says we're getting a little bigger, and we're now known as Michigan United Credit Union. But the one thing that has never changed over all these years is the commitment to our members, and our service to our members has never changed. And so we might have expanded, as I said, and got bigger, but that's never changed. So if that's something of interest to you, please come visit our table out there, and we'll give you a little bit more information about Michigan United. With that, I also want to proud to introduce to you someone who I've known for several years, Dr. Ambika Robertson. She has been the superintendent of Birmingham Public Schools since June of 2021. Prior to serving in her current district, Dr. Robertson taught elementary and middle school students in the Detroit metropolitan area. She holds a Doctor of Education degree in Educational Leadership and Policy Studies from Wayne State University. She became the first woman in more than 100 years to serve in the superintendent role in the Birmingham, while also being the first person of color. Dr. Robertson has a deep commitment to creating a positive culture and improving student outcomes for all. Under her leadership, Birmingham Public Schools improved by several spots in the annual school rating to rank as the 5th best public school district in Michigan for the 2022-23 academic year. Dr. Robertson leads by passion, and her unwavering focus continues to keep student achievement at the center of all her decisions. Without further ado, Dr. Robertson.
Thank you for allowing me to be here. I appreciate the Birmingham Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce for allowing me this opportunity to speak to you today. I also want to thank a couple of people who are in the room. They're surely not the full village that I have to help our district be successful, but I do want to introduce our president of the board, Amy Holcomer, over here. And I know we have a couple people from our central leadership team here. We have our Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, Dean DeForos. Our Executive Director of Technology, Zach Riley Kelly, over here. And the person who is really in charge of everything, Joan Crampton, my assistant over there. She did a beautiful job of setting everything up today, and I just appreciate her so much. As Linda said, we are excited because this is my 3rd year going into the superintendency here in Birmingham, and we have been able to move our rankings up to 5th as the 5th best district in the state, first best place for teachers to teach, and 150 in our country. And I think that is really based on our core values. We're really rooted in these values of student success, inclusion, community, equity, perseverance, and integrity. And I hope that while I'm not going to read the definitions, that you'll hear those core values come out as I'm giving the presentation in terms of the things that we're doing for our students. I am excited because we spent our first year really hearing from the community about what they wanted to see within our district. And then last year, I think right after we had this event, our board approved our strategic plan for the next 5 years. And our focus is really a mission of educational excellence that allows students to impact our whole world. And so we know that our students are the future for tomorrow, and they are the ones who are going to create a better place. And so we want to make sure that our students are not only getting what they need academically, but they're really thinking about our community and how they can impact and make our community better. And so our strategic plan is a 5-year process of it ends in 2027, but I give quarterly updates at the board meeting because what we don't want is a strategic plan where we created something and put it on the shelf and then you never see it again. And so we have committed to not only quarterly updates, but when you hear any of our resolutions at the board, they're always tied. If you look at them, they're always tied to something within the strategic plan to make sure that we're keeping our focus. So our 4 pillars in our strategic plan is student achievement, and just a couple of things that we've done in the past year to lean into our strategic plan is one, adopted a K-8 mathematics resource. And the reason why that is important is because in the past, we have always had mathematics resources that one was for elementary and one is for middle school, and then of course something different in high school. But this time we decided, and we worked with the community, with the staff, with students, to have a resource that would span K through 8. So we have that continuity of learning from elementary into middle school, and wanting to make sure that students are able to seamlessly go into middle school and be prepared for the rigor that increases when they get into that middle level. We also have an approved future educators course that just happened this year, and that is really trying to get our students who are interested in education involved in internships within our school district right now. We know that there's a teacher shortage, and so this is our way, an attempt to make sure that our students have access to our amazing, talented teachers right here in our district. We implemented this past year a K through 5 multi-tiered system of support for English language arts, and this year we're expanding to K-8. And basically what that is a support plan that allows, when you have a student who is struggling, we have a consistent measure and system to address those needs so that they can be successful in school. Now, we've had that before. That is not something that is new. What is new about it is that it is district-wide, because what we found is that we had schools who had different measures of when they were giving support for students. And we wanted to make sure that as a school system, we were consistent in that measure, and no parent felt like they needed to go to a specific school to get the support that they need. We are launching phase 1 of a K-12 literacy review. If you have followed the reading scores within our country, there's a lot of conversation about reading and phonics and what that should look like and what it shouldn't look like in terms of the research. And so we are implementing a phase 1 of a K-12 literacy review in response to that. We implemented junior kindergarten this year. So this is our first year where we have basically a Young Fives program for those parents who feel like their child needs just one more year, not of preschool, but not ready for kindergarten. So we have junior kindergarten at 5 of our elementary schools. And we are so proud that our West Maple Elementary was awarded National School Library of the Year. Only the 3rd elementary school in Michigan to ever be awarded that prestigious awards. So excited about that. Culture of unity and well-being is our second pillar. And to really, what culture of unity and well-being is really to make sure that every student and staff member within our district and within our community feels safe and supported when they enter our doors. We know that our students spend a lot of time in school, and so we want to make sure that we understand how to best support them. And because of that, we did implement a culture and climate survey to understand how each student is experiencing our schools. We also are implementing a school resource officer. We have always had police liaisons from Beverly Hills and Birmingham in our schools, but we're transitioning into a school resource officer where someone is dedicated here full-time, really part of our community, to help with keeping our students safe. And we're proud that I think 2 weeks ago, our board just approved that contract with the city of Birmingham. So thank you. And we will be doing the same with Beverly Hills next month. We had 2 schools awarded National School of Character, Greenfield and BCS, Birmingham Covington School. We are currently a National District of Character. And we have increased our engagement with stakeholders, again, trying to find out from our parents how we're doing and our staff. And so I sit somewhere every month in the community. I alternate between morning and evening, and whoever wants to come and bend my ear, they can do so, and people are not shy about bending my ear, by the way. But it has allowed me to really understand the needs and what's happening within our community and what's on people's mind. I also do soup with the soup with our staff. And so I sit in their teacher's lounge, and just anybody who wants to come down again to bend my ear, they can do so. We've also had a number of town halls, from safety town halls to our Board of Education, having a town hall for our community just to answer questions. World-class talent, we're providing competitive salaries. Actually, Bloomfield Hills, thanks. You settled a great contract with your teachers, put a lot of pressure on us. So we're competing with you guys. We are hosting new teacher orientation and really working on onboarding our staff so that we're not only attracting them, but retaining them. We're doing a partnership with Michigan State University this year because we have a number of new principals due to retirements, and we want to make sure that they can be successful. Even though many of them are previously principals, we want to make sure that they are successful, and so we're doing a mentoring partnership. And then we just have a strong professional learning plan for all of our staff, making sure that we're meeting their needs and asking the question about where do they see themselves, because we want to make sure that we have people prepared to step into roles should roles become available within our district. And lastly, our fourth pillar is responsible stewardship. Now, last year, if you were here, I talked about the elephant in the room because we were just coming off of lots of news stories about our financial situation. I am proud to say that we ended last year with a shortfall of $182,000, which is only 0.1% of our revenue. That did not come easy. Unfortunately, we did have to reduce 10% of our staff to get it to move into that into our revenue, and that was basically what we had to do, was right size our district. In the last 12 years, we've lost 1,000 students due to declining enrollment, but we had not adjusted our staffing, and so that was one of our major pieces that we had to address. And we still have some work to do, but I am very proud of the stability that we have now in our district. We've increased marketing so that people can know about the great things that are happening in our district. And we have hired a new CFOO. Previously, we brought someone in who was retired, Dr. Maria Gistinger, who did a wonderful job of helping us out, but she was retired, and now we have a permanent person to help move our district forward. We have lots of bond projects going on around the district. If you pulled in, you probably saw work going on at Groves High School. In 2020, the voters graciously passed a bond that was really focused on improving our athletic facilities. And so what you see next door is a building of our auxiliary gym. It's happening at Groves and Seaholm as well. You will see around the district improvement to our athletic fields and some work done in renovation at some of our high schools, elementary and middle school. So basically challenges in education that we're dealing with right now in terms of financial health, schools are funded based on enrollment. And the state of Michigan has declining enrollment. We've done a really good job of marketing. I think last year we lost 30 students, which was wonderful considering that our senior class was 150 students larger than our incoming kindergarten class, which means we got some of our students back. But it's still a struggle. It's still a struggle within our state. We are still working on that learning loss, getting students back to pre-pandemic levels. Mental health continues to be an issue for our students. Lots of anxiety, depression that we're seeing within our school district. It's one of the reasons why we brought Easter SEALs in to work with our students when we needed to hand them off for more intensive therapy. Safety continues to be an issue. Schools are a microcosm of society, but we cannot solve all the problems. We need the community to work with us. And so parents expect us to keep our students safe, and we do an excellent job of trying, but nothing is fail-proof without also community support around safety issues. Staff shortages, there is a teacher shortage. If you look at the colleges, I know we have people here from higher ed, and they would tell you that the enrollment for higher ed and especially teacher programs is lacking. And so we see staff shortages. We are blessed because many people want to work in Birmingham, and so it does not hit us as hard as some of our neighbors, but we still see it. We still see a difference with our staff shortages. And then the political climate. I see things on the news that are not happening in schools that people are saying are happening in schools. And I'm like, where are these schools where these things are happening? The political climate, unfortunately, creeps into our districts, and they shouldn't. I mean, most parents send their kids to school and they just want their kids to be happy, safe, loved, and get a good education so they can get into a good university or be able to do a good trade or be a great entrepreneur. We need the community's help also in helping to keep the politics out of schools. So with all of that, I'll just say that's a quick summary of the things that are going on in our district. I do want to share a little video that I think highlights our school district.
Be the best version of yourself. Be bold. Be brilliant. Be Birmingham.
And I want to give a shout out to our communications department. That was done by our in-house, by our communication department. All of the students were ours, the facilities, even the voiceover was one of our teachers. And so it was completely done in-house. And so just want to give a shout out to them. And thank you for allowing me to speak to you today.
Before we move on to our next speaker, I want to remind everyone that you do have the blue note cards at your table. So if you have any questions for either of our superintendents, please jot those down on the cards and we'll ask them. I only have 2 questions so far, so please, if you have them, make note of them. And with that, I'd like to introduce our sponsor, Oakland Community College's Chancellor Peter Provenzano, who, by the way, congratulations, was just named a notable leader in higher education by Cranes Detroit. Chancellor Provenzano will introduce our next speaker, the superintendent from Bloomfield Hills.
Good morning. Thank you so much for that. We really appreciate being here and being a sponsor again of this incredible event. And we're also really proud to be part of the Chamber. Many people are surprised when I tell them right now there are over 400 students at OCC that are represented by your two communities. And so it's a real privilege to continue to give back and sponsor the Chamber. I'm also joined here with two of my amazing team members. I have, if you want to stand up, not to put you on the spot, Dr. Jennifer Byrne, who is our provost. Jennifer. And Lola Banks, she has a long title. It's Associate Dean of College Readiness and Secondary Partnerships. Lola. And that really is just a long title for, if you're in K-12, I really want her to be your next best friend. She is here to support you and to help OCC strengthen our partnerships with all of our K-12 partners. And we are looking forward to hearing from our next speaker, Dr. Randy Liepa, who is the interim superintendent of Bloomfield Hills Schools. Dr. Liepa worked in public education for 30 years, and he has an extensive statewide experience in school administration and policy as well. He served 18 years as a school superintendent, 12 at Livonia Public Schools prior to this, and another 6 years at Wayne Risa. So that's really incredible and an awesome track record there. In 2014, Dr. Liepa was honored as the Region 9 Superintendent of the Year in Michigan, as well as Administrator of the Year for Michigan PTSA. He holds a bachelor's degree from Hillsdale, a master's degree from Wayne State University, and a doctor of philosophy from Michigan State University. There's not a whole lot of extra universities left in Michigan for you to go to, but why not? How about a warm welcome to Dr. Liepa?
Well, thank you for that introduction, and it's really wonderful to be here amongst the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce is an organization I'm very familiar with. Actually was a longtime member of the Board of Directors in Livonia on their Chamber of Commerce and was their past president on different occasions and when I served on the Board of Directors there. So I know the remarkable work that the Chamber of Commerce does for its businesses, but also to support the community. And so congratulations and thanks that all you do. I want to recognize Dr. Roberson, too, for the leadership that she's providing in education right now. One of the things that I'm doing in retirement is working for the Michigan Leadership Institute, and we do executive searches across the state of Michigan for school districts. I promise I will not talk to Ambika today about my work as a recruiter. We want her to stay here for a long, long time, and I know she's been a long employee here. But what a remarkable person to represent education here in this community. She does a great, great job. So Ambika, thanks for all the work that you do and continue to do as an educator. It's an honor for me to be filling in here with the Bloomfield Hills School District as they look to their next transition to leadership. To have my name connected with the Bloomfield Hills Schools means an awful lot to me personally. Being from metropolitan Detroit my entire career, I know the great reputation that the Bloomfield Hills school system has, and I can tell you I have now seen firsthand why people feel so strongly about the programs and services that are provided to students. They have a wide range of opportunities for students, K, or actually pre-K through graduation, a remarkable and dedicated staff. They have tremendous facilities, and we're going to show you a few pictures of some of the work that's being done here. And so there are just so many good things going on in Bloomfield Hills for kids. And at the end of the day, what we know is when students leave the Bloomfield Hills school system, they're very successful. And at the end of the day, when we think about ourselves as educators, that's what we do. We want our kids to leave the school system and be successful. And that's what's happened for a long time here in Bloomfield. And so I'm just very honored to be part of this entity through this process. And I want to take a a second to recognize the board members that are here from Bloomfield. Paul Colin and Carolyn Noble, stand up, be recognized. They have been very welcoming to me as I've come in to support the school district here. And I also want to recognize, I'm not going to name them all because there's a whole team of them over here, but I want you to stand up the staff at the Bloomfield Hills Schools here supporting our district today. And so let's go ahead and jump into what's going on here in Bloomfield. I'm going to start with a leadership update, talk a little bit about points of pride over the last year, and then we're going to talk about things that are going on coming up into the new year, because there's some significant changes going on in our school system that's going to be a benefit to students, and we want to share with you what those are. So just briefly on the superintendent search, the board has taken a little bit of a different direction right now to complete its search. And again, as I mentioned, this is what I've been doing in my retirement. And so they're actually looking at a targeted search for a superintendent where they will actually identify qualified, experienced candidates, see if they're a good fit for the community. By the way, one of the things that you do in this process is they create a candidate profile. And that is taking a lot of feedback from all over the community, getting everybody involved to say, these are the characteristics we're looking for in a new superintendent. And so they have that candidate profile. They're going to utilize that to help identify people that they think may be a good fit, and then actually go out and have conversations with them, hoping that at that point in time, if they see someone with a good fit, they'll be able to bring them in to the community, have them go through the application process and the interview process with the whole community publicly in order to find a new superintendent. Again, as a search consultant, I can tell you that the pool in education, especially for some of these leadership positions, is getting thinner and thinner. It's a challenge to find really good leadership out there. And so I am very confident, though, with this procedure that the board is going through, that they are going to find a strong new leader for the Bloomfield Hills community moving forward. So that process hopefully will continue, and best case scenario, we'd have a new superintendent identified this fall. I want to talk a little bit about last year and some of the great accomplishments in the school system, and there really are so many things that we could be choosing from to highlight that we're proud of in our school district. We have a variety of students that have done extremely well when it comes to any kind of assessment, whether it's a state assessment, whether it's a college prep assessment, et cetera, et cetera. Highlighting two here for you, though, two students, Rhea Tuzan and Henry Jackson. Rhea, a perfect score on the Advanced Placement 2D Art and Design exam. I can't tell you how hard it is to get a perfect score in any one of these prep exams. And then for Henry, perfect score on the Advanced Placement U.S. Government and Politics exam. So congratulations to these two students that are just representative of a variety of students that have done extremely well and make us so very, very proud. Next, again, a lot of accomplishments in our athletic and co-curricular teams at Bloomfield Hills. I want to highlight three of them, though. We had 3 state champions over the past year. Girls hockey, and that's with our Birmingham friends, partnered. Boys tennis, and then also, maybe you didn't even know this existed, esports. We were the state champions in esports in Bloomfield this year.
That's so cool.
Isn't that neat? Isn't that neat? Speaking of, let's talk robotics for a second. We had a group of middle school students. I think they may have even started at the elementary age, but this group of middle school students had been involved in a project to try to do something to make an improvement. And literally, this group of students were recognized last week by the U.S. Department of Commerce, the Patent Division. If you can imagine, the U.S. Patent Division gave our students a patent for something that they had designed and created. That we now have these kids now have a U.S. patent in their name that identifies the work that they did with this program. You see the scooter there that they're with? They were downtown and they identified the scooter. And what they said is, to create something that would be safer, could we create something that is sort of similar to electric cars that are driverless, right? It would actually identify any dangers when the scooter's going. It would stop the scooter for a safety purpose. And so literally they created this for a scooter, for electric scooters in downtown Detroit, and got a U.S. patent for that. What a remarkable accomplishment. A couple of things that we like to highlight and we're very proud of just as it relates to us being stewards of the community's resources. We have, for 23 consecutive years, received the Financial Reporting Award through CAFR. And this is near and dear to my heart because my background is actually finance. That's where I started in schools. And so this is a very difficult recognition to receive, and the Bloomfield Hills District has received this financial recognition 23 years in a row. And bus inspections, 31 consecutive years, perfect score on our bus inspections when the state comes in and looks at our buses. Now I'm going to go on to what's coming up because this is a very, very busy summer for us. There are a lot of exciting things that are happening in our school district, but a lot of change happening in our school district. Part of it has to do with the bond issue that we have completed, and we certainly want to recognize our community for supporting the school and a significant renovation to its facilities. And it's really going to support what is a complete configuration in regards to our grades and our areas of where students go to school in the school system. So you can see in sort of the map here, we've got Bloomfield Hills High School at the start, and now we have 2 feeder elementary schools that go to the high school. That's new for us. We used to have 3 middle schools, and so those middle schools used to be grades actually 4 through 8 and 5 through 8. Now we've changed the grade configurations. Elementary schools are all K-5, and our 2 middle schools are 6, 8, and then we have our high school. So a complete reconfiguration, and so that will be a change for our staff. We've got staff at different buildings this year. We've got combined middle schools, and so a big change there and a big change for some of our students also. And why did the school district do this? Well, you can see the advantages that having this type of setup now will help the school system in the long term, which includes now having basically schools of the same size. They're equitably, the students are evenly distributed across our schools. They're very similar size now, both at our elementary schools and our middle school. And within these schools, by doing that and by having this different configuration, we think that it's going to allow students to have more curricular options. It's going to allow students at the middle school more options and more time in ELA and math to focus on those core areas. It's going to improve the ability to collaborate at all grade levels, because if you have more teachers at a particular grade level in the building, you have more colleagues to talk about what's going on in your classroom and how you're implementing the curriculum. It preserves our teacher team model, which ties into that, and it allows us to cut down the amount of staff that had to travel to different schools. So there are a variety of educational benefits by changing this long-term setup and how our schools are configured. To support this process, then, we've done a variety of renovations to the schools with our 2020 bond issue. This past summer has been by far the biggest construction summer that we've had. And so when we start the school year, not only do we have new schools, new grade configurations, teachers and students moving to different places, but we've got significant construction that we're finishing up. Thank God we've got pros that have done this across the state of Michigan and a lot of school districts, so they are used to shutting school down, starting school up, and having the work done in between. If you were to drive by a few of our schools, you might say, oh boy, I don't know if we're going to get it ready. But I can assure you as I'm standing here that school will be ready for the first day, and we're going to have these buildings open and ready to go. The two middle schools that we now have, North Hills was the former Lasser High School, and then South Hills is the former Bloomfield Middle School that is now been re-identified as South Hills with significant renovations. And I have to tell you, I've been in these schools and I've been around the state of Michigan. These are two of the finest middle schools I have ever seen anywhere. I want to go to middle school again. I mean, literally, walking through these schools, what these students are going to have available to them is amazing. One of the things that school districts do when they do school construction is really looking at the latest research to tell you how should school be set up to where students learn the best. And so one of the things with this bond issue that the district has done is create learning environments that have been designed with flexible furniture, and so it creates better engagement for the students and a much more flexible working environment. You can see a couple pictures of what that looks like. And then also, in some places, we have movable walls, so we can do co-teaching. Again, if you look at the desks there, they can be moved in a lot of different ways, so they can have small group instruction, regular classroom instruction, etc. That is the latest, best research. Flexible environments, places where students can work in teams together, so they can learn the best. Again, identifying the spaces for collaboration, which is a big component of the renovation work that's done. And so again, you can see sort of the planning around the bond issue and the benefits that were identified for student learning that they really wanted to focus on. So again, grade level layout for each middle school, strong commitment to bringing the school community together by providing these different support services that's really going to benefit the way that students have access to resources. The media centers are going to be an important community learning hub. That is the latest and greatest when it comes to how schools are set up. And technology, of course, very significant. More technology infused in learning, dedicated to STEAM spaces and renovated for the new elective areas. Which are, I have to tell you, if you go into these gymnasiums, we'll see some pictures in the auditoriums, they're just spectacular. And kids are going to just absolutely love the opportunities that are available to them. And then also looking at utilizing the elective spaces to encourage again, students' passions that help them learn about themselves and develop confidence. So all of the changes that are happening aren't just about, putting different bricks in different places, but it's about what can we do to create an environment that really provides the best learning opportunities for kids. Here are some pictures in South, and so you can see how these different learning environments are set up within the school. At North, again, these are the some of the athletic areas that have been identified. I mean, you do not see a middle school that looks like this in the gymnasium area. You just don't see it. Look at the auditorium. And not only are these auditoriums there for the kids, but next to the auditoriums are dedicated spaces. So when they are practicing, they have a place to set up for the performances. Absolutely first rate in regards to if you're into the arts at the Bloomfield Middle Schools, what they're going to be able to access to provide the best opportunities and excitement for those events. STEM labs, big moving trend across education. And so you can sort of see here what a STEM lab would look like in a school. And this is actually a place you'd want to actually get into and see how the kids are utilizing the space for creating manufacturing exploration of a variety of different tools, prototypes, etc., to learn hands-on what it's like to do this type of work. Elementary schools. So we are doing some renovation at the elementary schools also. There's going to be a big chunk that's going to come then next summer. But we have done some improvements at the elementary school, which includes new kindergarten wings. Anybody who's ever been in a kindergarten room or knows a kindergarten teacher knows that the space for kindergarten is just different. It just is. And so what you see here is the opportunity for the kindergarten classroom to not only meet all of the needs of the students. It has a separate sink, separate bathroom, different learning areas, brand new, larger space for our kindergartens and our elementary schools. And then we're adding on cafetoriums. What is a cafetorium, right? It's an auditorium, it's a cafeteria, it's a gym, it's all in one. We call them multi-purpose rooms, and that's because we do multi-purpose things in those spaces. And this is very much a welcomed improvement at our elementary schools. In addition, we're putting new playground equipment across our elementary schools that we're very, very excited about. From a safety standpoint, this is also really important. The best, latest research as it relates to school safety allows for a vestibule to be set for entrance for anybody that would be walking into a school. And so if you're coming in the front doors there in the front, you're actually in an enclosed area. So whomever is in the office can identify who you are. You cannot just access the school directly from the classroom. And then, as you can see, in order to get into the building, then you have to come into the office before you can get out into the school. This is the latest. This is the latest construction recommendations from safety experts from across the country in regards to how best to set up schools from a safety standpoint for entrance. And so those vestibules will be at in every one of our K-8 schools. And so that gives you a little flavor. Again, it's been a busy summer. It's going to be a very exciting start of the school year for us. And we are just very excited to see the kids come back to school. And we're getting revved up to do what we do, and that is educate kids. So it's an honor for me again to be here, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Liappa. Let's get started really quickly. We did have some submitted via email, so I'm going to start there. This was submitted from one of our chamber members, Laura Engeland, and it's directed to both of you. There is so much technology being used in the classrooms today: smart boards, AV equipment, laptops, software programs, online learning and cloud platforms, etc. How do your districts manage it? What type of internal teams oversee the tech? How are purchasing decisions made? How do you keep up with the latest tools and trends? And how do you maintain good working order on everything? I'm going to give you this microphone to respond.
Yeah. Okay, I'll start. There's a lot into that question, but we have, not only do we have our technology department, but we have a curriculum department that works hand in hand in terms of identifying the software that is within our schools and how they supplement the curriculum. When we have technology in our schools, we're not looking at technology to replace the teaching of the teacher, but we're looking at how technology can enhance the learning. And so, we are mindful of making sure that our students have an opportunity to use technology to more extend the lesson. Now, last year we did have some requests from parents and from students about how we might do a better job of giving teachers some guidelines so that they're not allowing too much technology use within the classroom. And so that's something that we are working on within our curriculum department.
I just highlight that the setup is somewhat similar in school districts, similar to as Dr. Robeson had identified. I would just identify a challenge for school systems as they plan for technology, and that is, as you all know, it changes so quickly, and it is evolving on such a rapid basis. Our big challenge is, how do you stay up, right? Mm-hmm. If you buy the laptop today, are people using the laptop tomorrow? As the technology change, should you be doing something different? And so one of the changes that we were advocating for at the state level that they actually implemented a few years ago was allowing the school districts who have a sinking fund to utilize that for technology replacement, along with facility repairs. Without getting too technical, because sinking fund makes no sense, right? What the heck's a sinking fund? But it's basically an ongoing millage that allows you, instead of buying something and paying for it over a period of time, to do it as you go. You pay as you go, right? So school districts do bond issues, and they do bond issues and they upgrade for technology, and they say, oh my gosh, well, you're doing that and you're paying that off over time, but the technology is going to be obsolete. And so the sinking fund allows school districts to be able to do that on a more of an ongoing basis, which helps with that challenge, because the truth of the matter is what we're putting in today feels like by tomorrow we're already onto something new. So remarkable challenge for school districts. That's been one extra tool for school districts to try to address the technology needs in classrooms.
This guest saw on the news today there is a school bus driver shortage also in the state of Michigan. Is that affecting your districts, and how are you solving this problem?
Yes, it is. It is affecting our district. We work with a third-party transportation provider, Durham, and they, one of the things that we had to do is raise rates for our drivers. So it is something that we are struggling with.
Does anybody here have a CDL license? If you do, our HR person, Keith McDonald, is over there. Do not leave the room without talking to him. It's a challenge statewide. I've driven by communities and they have billboards. The bus drivers need. You guys have probably seen the signs outside of high schools, outside of elementary schools. Bus drivers needed. It's a tough job. Number one, your hours. You have 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the afternoon. You have time in between. We've been pretty successful with trying to get retirees in who are just in it. They want to do something. They like kids. And so that's been a resource for us, but it is remarkably difficult. On top of, driving something that, 65 kids in the back, having 3 kids, at one time myself, I didn't like 3 kids in the back, or I had challenges. And so it's a big issue. In our district, actually, this year, we hired quite a few bus drivers this summer, but there are some routes that we used to provide in our walking areas that right now we're not sure we're going to be able to do. And that's a real struggle for us because we want to provide those services to our families. And so it's a major challenge, that and childcare. Childcare workers is another area of significant shortage on top of what Ambika shared as it relates to just teachers,
Right.
which is, I would say the number one issue in the state, in our state and maybe across the country. We need talent to be working with kids.
Right.
Well, since you brought up early childcare teachers, we do have 2 questions that are similar. For Dr. Robertson, can you comment on the facility study and any early childhood centers? And also, Birmingham Public Schools has always provided programs for preschoolers through senior residents. What are plans for preschool? The preschool program currently housed at Midvale, and next the program for senior citizens.
So I can speak to a little bit about our preschool. What has been wonderful is that our governor has expressed a commitment to early childhood and to expanding 4-year-old preschool, which is amazing. We know that it's better to give prevention than intervention. And so having students be able to have that early childhood experience going into kindergarten will help them be more successful. Because of that, because we continue to keep parents on a waiting list for our preschool program, we are looking to expand preschool within our school district. Right now, we did last year do a facility study. The next phase of that is for our board to really look at some of the ideas that came out of that facility study and to decide the direction that our district is going to go into. But one of the things that we know for sure is that we are going to expand our preschool program. If you haven't heard in the news lately, Next is moving in 3 years to a different facility, and that will allow us to have additional space within Midvale to be able to expand our preschool program, which right now we carry about 100 students on a wait list. As well, when we look at our numbers, we have 65% of our families who attend a private preschool. Mainly too because our elementary schools have half-day programs as opposed to full-day programs, and parents need full-day care. And so we are losing, because sometimes when parents take their kids to a private preschool, they don't return. It's not their intent, but they go and they like where they are. They build friends with the group, and then we don't see them anymore. And so what we are planning to make that transition, but we also, because we have had a long-standing partnership with Next, we are going to wait and plan for that 3-year phase in when they're able to move into a new facility.
How is each district incorporating financial literacy to meet the new requirements? Is it included as part of a current class, or will there be a separate personal finance class?
So we currently have a personal finance class. We've had one for years. I can say that because my daughter took it. I don't know how. She didn't do well in it. She got a good grade in it, but it's not really working right now. But we have a personal finance class, but we do know with the change in the state requirement of financial literacy, we're going to have to revisit it to make sure that it's going to meet the state requirements. And so our curriculum department is working on that effort and waiting to hear a little bit more from the state in terms of what their standards are going to be.
I've learned a lot in just a few weeks, but I do not know the answer to that. I'm going to ask Todd Bidlack, our Assistant Superintendent for Learning Services, to provide that answer. I'm still trying to find out where the bathroom is in the board office. So, Todd.
That's why I'm here this morning. So thank you. For the question, is really both of those approaches we utilize. So not only would we have a dedicated course offering specifically for financial literacy, but then also finding touch points within our programming where we can integrate that in other areas as well. In particular, especially with our new investment into STEAM education, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for us to integrate that into those offerings as well for kids to be able to really have real world experiences and following a project all the way through. And then as you can see, we're hoping for more patents as well. So see how that works. So if we can get on the kids' contract, that might be a financial as well. So we get 1% of the royalties or something. But really, both of those approaches I think are appropriate and provide a lot of opportunity for us to layer that in through a child's experience.
I believe we have time for one more question before we conclude today's event. Several school districts have eliminated their honors classes. What is your district's stance on keeping or getting rid of honors classes?
We don't have any plans on eliminating honors classes. We have honors AP, and then we also have, with partnership with Bloomfield Hills and Oakland Consortium, IB courses through the International Academy.
And I'm not aware of any conversation in Bloomfield about that, Todd. I think I'd be correct on that, correct?
Yeah, we're not looking at reducing any type of honors experiences, and particularly in that, we're looking to expand a little bit. And what's unique about our new middle school extended block, where we're widening out the amount of time in ELA and for mathematics, where we'll have about 70 to 80 minutes each day in the new middle school schedule. Is one of the reasons why we wanted to reconfigure is so have an incredible impact on our academics. But doing that really puts all of our students on an accelerated path into algebra, to successfully complete algebra by the end of 8th grade, which an accelerated path for math is a form of honors math. So we're looking at significantly improving the type of opportunity kids have in mathematics and ELA, with a goal of getting through algebra for almost all of our kids by the end of 8th grade, and investing the time needed to be able to do that well, where those skills are going to be transferable and not lost with that transition from middle school to high school. So we're looking to really bring more kids into that accelerated process, and we believe we're going to be pretty successful doing so.
We also have that same thing in our strategic plan as well in terms of accelerating into all students taking algebra by 8th grade, if possible.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your great questions. I'm sorry I didn't get to all of them. With that, but we are out of time. So I want to say thank you to our panelists who are here today. Thank you to Birmingham Public Schools for hosting, and their team here did a wonderful job. Thank you to Bloomfield Township Television, who's here recording the event for rebroadcast. And with that, thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning. We hope to see you again. Enjoy the last 11 days before school starts. 11 days countdown. And have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining us.